Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor and today I'm going to be doing a book review on Scarlet by Marissa Meyer. So I've already done a book review on Cinder and I can't tell you much about this book without spoiling Cinder. So if you want to know more about what the Lunar Chronicles is about, check out that book review. So without further ado, 2-minute recap in 3, 2, 1. Scarlet is trying to find her missing grandmother. She ends up meeting Wolf at the Row Tavern and sees his Elsop 962 tat. Cinder is trying to escape from prison and escapes with Captain Thorn. Scarlet goes home to see her dad demolishing the house for something the grandmother had hidden, and Dad says the people with the Elsop tat took him. Now, Kai sicks the military on Cinder and Thorn because Queen Lavon is like, you're gonna find that girl. Scarlet goes to confront Wolf, but then watches him fight. Cinder and Thorn escape, and then they escape into space with Thorn's ship. Wolf goes to Scarlet to tell her that he knows how to help find her grandma. So then they're going to Paris via train. Lavonna threatens Kai with a 3-day ultimatum to find Cinder. Wolf and Scarlet have to abandon the plane because the plague is spreading. Wolf tells Scarlet about Grandma going to Luna and how her father is half lunar, so she's a quarter lunar. Scarlet and Wolf arrive at the lair in Paris. Scarlet is taken to a lunar cloaked as her grandma, so it's not really her grandma. Then Cinder, Thorn, and Aiko arrive in Row to find Scarlet's grandma and to get a part for the ship. Then the wolves attack. Boom, boom. And then, last but not least, Kai announces his engagement to the Queen, and Cinder has to tell all the crew on the ship the truth about how she is Princess Selene. So, my first favorite moment is when Scarlet got on the tabletop at the tavern to defend Cinder. She was like, guys, this is a child. Why are we making fun of her? Because she's a cyborg. I mean, come on. Like that, she didn't control that. I was like, yes, you are a great person, Scarlet. And that made me like her even more. Everyone keeps mentioning the ruckus from the ball. And remember what I said last time? I said, it's a little unsightly for everything to be going down at the ball. I mean, was I right or was I right? Next, I like the characterization of the wolf, and I like all of his personality traits, like how his eyes are specific, like piercing color, and how he's always hungry, and how he's like shaking a lot because he's so like restless. And I also like how when he was talking to Scarlet, how she said, perhaps you should go back to the moment you decided that street fighting was a valid career choice. I was like, wow, that's golden. Also, Captain Thorn, I did not remember that he was in this book, and he just made this book 10 times as good as it was, because Captain Thorn is Captain Thorn. So we have to talk about the banter between Cinder and Thorn, how they keep talking about her cyborgness and all the junk that's on his ship, and I love how they also are building a relationship. How he saves her from when she took over the ship and almost fried her own circuitry and almost died. How she's honest about the death of Peony, the only sister she really loved, and it was great. Next great moment was us just seeing Cinder develop her abilities, and that's when she, number one, turns the guards away from where they are because they have to escape, and then also how she can make people pass out, like when she made Alec pass out because he wouldn't let them leave with the captain's ship, and also how she was able to compel info from Emily. Next, when Scarlet is doing research about wolves, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm having Twilight and Teen Wolf flashbacks. It was just great for me to see that. And Aiko, she is now the ship, and I love that she's back now, and how she adds to the good banter vibes, and she encourages Thorn's flirtations, which is hilarious. And next, I love how she freaks when Kai is at the press conference and he's like, oh, I took Cinder to the ball, because Aiko was disabled at that time and she didn't know that Cinder was invited to the ball by Kai, who was at that time the prince and now is the emperor. Scarlet and Wolf have actually a more developed relationship than I felt that Cinder and Kai did. Now, I also kind of don't like that relationship, but at least it was better developed. Next, when Thorn thought he figured it out that Scarlet was Princess Celine, I was like, you're thinking a little bit too far-fetched. The answer is closer than you think. You know what I'm saying? When the gang arrives in row, and it's like, no, y'all just missed her. It's like that tension that like the reader loves when it's like, like, you know what I'm saying? I also love how Thorn calls himself a captain, but he's not really the best ship driver, and he's only actually a cadet. So I was like, are you sure you're a captain? Next, I want to talk about the battle sequences, and we're going to talk about Ran versus everybody. So when Ran comes to kill Scarlet and Scarlet's grandma, he kills Scarlet's grandma and Scarlet's running away. And she swings the candelabra at Ran, and then when he catches her again, she uses the momentum to like knee him in the groin. And like Ran, definitely, he's giving me James vibes when he got Bella in the ballet studio. Like that's totally what I'm feeling right now. And then in the end, Wolf ends up killing Ran, who is Wolf's brother. So yeah. And then the other battle I want to talk about is Cinder and JL. So Cinder has to tranquilize Thorn so he isn't compelled by JL. Then she actually takes control of one of the LSOP agents from JL, which takes immense power to be able to do. And then Aiko, the ship, plows through them. And I was like, ooh, Kung Fu or Ship Fu? Oh. And then, last but not least, when Scarlet shot JL and it's like, pow, I was like, yes, Scarlet, save the day. Next favorite moment is the drama with the gang. And I love it because it's just so juicy. So Cinder, after just seeing that Kai is engaged to the queen, is like, why would he marry her? This will ruin the earth. And Scarlet's like, excuse me, this is entirely your fault. Like, my grandma's dead because of you, and all you've been doing is being selfish and lazy, and you're hiding. And then Cinder's like, girl, I just found out this week. And then Thorn is like, what's going on? And Cinder's like, yo, I'm Princess Celine. And everyone's like, shut up. And then she's like, no, seriously. And everyone's like, oh, okay. And then at the end, Thorn is like, I know. She seems little, but it's really part of her charm once you get to know her. And I was like, yes, your friendship is amazing. And then just two funny moments that I thought there were when Scarlet is grabbing a fork to eat, and she talks to Wolf, and she's also combing her hair. At first I was like, oh my gosh, is she combing her hair with her fork? Is she using her fork as a dingle hopper? But no, she was just using it to eat. And then last but not least, I love my puns. So when Aiko, the big ship, is talking to Cinder, and Cinder's like, that's very big of you, I was like, I love puns, yeah. So my first yikes moment is when the police close the case on Scarlet's grandma, and they rule it a leaving of free will and or a suicide. And I was like, no, if you don't find a body, then nobody is dead. And if she's leaving a free will, can you at least locate her? Because people are freaking out, you know what I'm saying? How Scarlet's father was tortured by LSOP agents, that was also really sad to see, and he had circular burns and mental anguish as well. And we also got to see how bad the relationship between Scarlet and her father was, and how there was a bunch of alcohol and negligence in that relationship. Next yikes moment is when Kai is trying to figure out how he feels about Cinder, and he's like, oh my gosh, was she real at the market? And in my head I'm like, duh, why the hell would she glamour herself as less than and subservient? You know what I'm saying? Why would she put up with all of the foolishness from Pearl and Adri? That makes no sense. Obviously she didn't know. Next, when Kai has to order the military to track down Cinder, I know he has to because of the queen, but still, I didn't want him to. And then, when the queen tells her minion, Amory, to silence Kai, I was like, what? What? How dare you silence the emperor? And I was like, this chip is needed for Kai because it's not going well for him. How many times has he been under their little guys? You know what I'm saying? And then Kai is also just so naive. Like, he thinks that the queen wants Cinder because she made a comment about the queen not really being beautiful. And I'm like, hello, dude? Do you remember any of your research that you were doing on Princess Celine? You think about Any of that? Is that ringing any bells? No, it's not ringing any bells. And then also flashing to when Scarlett's on the train and she's researching Elsop. I'm like, why are you researching Elsop in front of people? And then Rand contacts her and he's talking to her and it's like, why are you telling Rand your plans to go see your grandma in Paris? Like, his fingers were sus. Like, his clawed fingers, that doesn't look good. So why would you trust him? Why would you talk to him? No. Next, let's talk about Rand, his pointy fingers. And I was like, it's just so sus that they met him after, like, we flash forward and see him on the platform and Wolf is all, like, antsy. And then Rand follows them to the campsite. And then Wolf excludes the fact that Rand is Wolf's brother. Like, does that not ring any alarms? Wave any red flags? No, that doesn't. Okay. Next, Wolf and Scarlet kissing on the train. I was just like, this relationship is underdeveloped. I don't care. Moving on. And then also, why would you tell Wolf about your suppressed memories that involve Princess Celine? One day ago, you thought he was the enemy. Turns out he actually still is the enemy. So why would you tell him this information? You're just too trusting. So then it was just funny when, like, Scarlet told JL, Wolf is with me, and then Wolf betrays her. I was like, you get what you get, girlfriend. Adri. So when Adri tells Kai that Cinder took Peeny's chip, I'm like, no, because now they can track her because they can track the chip. And I just don't like how Adri treats Cinder and now treats Cinder even more. She calls Cinder an aberration and says that that term doesn't even do her justice. And I was like, what? And then she says cyborgs are pretending to be better. And I'm like, no, you're pretending that you're better because you're not a cyborg. You are a trash person. And then she asked Kai for compensation. And you know why she asked Kai for compensation for this information? Because she's freaking broke. Because guess who brought home the bacon? Cinder. And now that Cinder's gone, she's broke. And she's realizing, oh, I have bills to pay. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's literally trying to find how much she can wring out of her relationship with Cinder. And it's vile and disgusting. And Adri, you're trash. Next, when Scarlet thinks that the Lunar is her grandma and tells the Lunar everything, I was like, no. Didn't you know once you saw JL that there were Lunars? So why didn't you think something like maybe what happened at your 3rd birthday party that only your grandma will remember? You know what I'm saying? And then we see the secret room in the grandma's garage with the operation table and the preservation tube, and it was like kind of like creepy, and then like Teen Wolf flashback. Ugh. And then when Wolf transfers the chip to Scarlet by kissing her, assault? Like, there was another way to give her that chip without violating her privacy and her boundaries to kiss her. Next yikes moment is when Cinder is being tracked by Peeny's chip and she realizes that she has to throw away Peeny's chip in order to make it out, and it was just so sad. Also, when I thought Cinder was gonna tell Thorne and Aiko who she was like 10 chapters before she did, and then she didn't, I was like, no, just tell them. It's gonna come out in the end anyway, so you might as well tell them now. So then Scarlet and her Gma are finally reunited, but then Rand kills the grandma and then tries to kill Scarlet, and then at this one I'm also like, damn, that's terrible. But also I'm like, why grandma bait him like that? She was like, I know you want to kill me, and like saying all these things. I was like, grandma, no, grandma. And then, okay, so when Kai was proposing to the queen, and the queen was like acting brand new, she was like, whatever do you speak of? I have no idea. Not like you've been asking him to marry you since he was emperor. Not like you've been pestering his father to arrange a marriage deal since he was like 10 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like, last but not least, it appears that Wolf and Scarlet are going steady, but already I'm not really feeling it. And they're also talking about how she can be like the alpha female, and I'm just like, I'm just not feeling the relationship. Cinder's conundrum. It's either fester her skills to beat the queen while risking becoming the Lunar that she never wanted to be. So like you can see she's struggling with that when she compels the guard to get in front of her because the LSOP agent is attacking her, and then the LSOP agent ends up killing the guard. You can tell that that really just emphasizes that she's struggling with who she wants to be. This line really emphasizes something. It would be easy to abuse a person when they never recognize it as abuse. So that's true, man. That's how some people abuse you. Like, they abuse you, but you don't even know you're being abused. Yeah. And then we have to talk about projection, how Adri is projecting all of these things about herself on Cinder and how she's just being a selfish toad. And then we want to talk about mass of immigrants from Luna, how they're trying to escape the horrors of Luna for a better life. And I also liked how Marissa and Meyer included that. Then next, Wolf is like, Scarlet is mine. And once again, I'm like, no, she is her own person. And then that funnels into the Wolf and Scarlet abusive relationship, right? So he's literally about to kill her at the end of the book, and she's like, I know you don't want to kill me. And then she gets mad at Cinder for tranquilizing him. Girl, he's about to kill you. She did you a favor. Yeah. And he's also partly responsible for the capture and death of her grandma. So why do you like him again? First thing, Grandma was part of the anti-queen gang, and so that is why the Elsop people took her. Number one, that's evidence. Wolf says she might know something because she's in the military, and she went to Luna, and her baby daddy was Lunar, so all of a sudden you're like, more evidence that she's anti-queen. And then we have Cinder reveal it and confirm it. Now the next thing is how the Lunars are trying to figure out why they couldn't compel the grandma. And so then, if we're thinking about what we learned last book, it's like, oh, she must have the chip. And then Cinder confirms that she is the chip. Elsop equals the queen's army. We know that because the pictures that were seen last book, they looked very wolf-like, and they were Lunars, and they were on Luna. Wolf's name is Wolf, so automatically you're like, yeah. And then Scarlet sees a thaumaturge when she gets to the wolf lair. Automatically you're like, oh, working for the queen, working for the queen. I still don't trust Torin. I don't trust him at all. And now the guy that he's with, Huy, that guy, I also think that he's now sus by association. So Kai knows that the queen has been spying on him and also had been spying on his dad, right? So either Torin bugged the room, or once again bugged Kai's android, or told the queen what Kai told him. Then Torin's expression darkened when Kai is like, the queen is listening somehow. Through Torin. I don't care. I think he is involved. Wolf is pretending. So he knew that they planted a listening device. So why would he know that? So he knows their tricks already, and he crushed it to gain her trust. Ooh, okay. But then he's getting antsy when we see Dude, who ends up being Ran, on the platform. So then Scarlet asks him to eat with her, and he's like, no. And he looks like he's avoiding a trap. And I'm like, what? A trap of sympathy and regret? And then he says he's only deserted his gang for around 3 weeks. And I was like, same time his grandma was snatched. So did he really desert, or did he just leave on a mission? And he's then called an alpha, which means he has high rank, because hello, it's an alpha. And then not only that, but he is the wolf. So if we're thinking about the fairy tale, the wolf has some hidden pretenses, pretends to be someone that he's not. Boom. And then when they get to the wolf lair in Paris, he's like, I'm so sorry. Why is he apologizing out of nowhere? Because he's about to betray you. Boom. Next, we know, or we infer, that Thorn has some artwork from the Louvre, and that's because on the ship, she's like, what is all this junk? And he's like, hello, these are some very nice paintings. And then when Scarlet is in Paris, she's like, oh my gosh, the Louvre. And then Wolf is like, oh yeah, also some vandals like lifted some artwork. So I was like, that was Thorn. Then we have to talk about the chips. Thorn is like, why are they taking plague chips when Cinder tells him about what happened when she went to go see Peony? And then he's like, why would they do that? Because families wouldn't approve of them just taking the chips. And then he's like, Lunars? And then I'm like, yeah. And then JL gives Wolf a shipment of ID chips from quarantines. And I was like, this is the market of the chips. Bruh. Now, I just want to mention 2 plot holes. Like when she comes back to Earth with the spaceship and she has to hide it with her lunar abilities, I'm like, did she really hide the spaceship? Like, how do we know that was successful? Like, did that really happen? And then, wouldn't Wolf have woken up before Thorn after both being shot with the dart because of timing, because he was shot first, and because of his body capability? Like, he's bigger. Plot hole. And then, my predictions. So, we have a timeline for September 25th. So, stuff has to go down by September 25th. We're going to contact Cress. The next book is called Cress, so that's definitely for sure. And I believe that the improved Elsop will have to be killed by the queen if she gains a foothold in Earth, and that is her plan. Because she's seeing that they might be just a little bit too powerful, because she knows that she can't control them all. And that is not her cup of tea. All right, everybody, that concludes this book review. This book was jam-packed with a bunch of information and comedy and romance and drama and action. So yeah, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and click that bell notification so you don't miss out when I post. And now all that's left to say is bye-bye.